All right. So I've got Spencer Nickelatti with me. I so appreciate you coming on and chit-chatting with me. I asked you if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of your journey and your struggles that got you to today, which is you've got 250 doors, is that right?
Yeah, we have roughly around that, and it's growing nonstop. If you ask
I
the
love
TP Collective, they're like, he always adds more, he's adding. So yeah, it's growing.
That's fantastic. I love that. So yeah, I'm going to give you the floor. I'm excited to hear. I haven't heard yet all of your stories, so I'm really excited to hear your journey that got you here.
For sure. I got a great foundation in life. I grew up on a farm in a metropolis of 263 people, called Genoa in Wisconsin. Tiny little Italian town. I grew up in a high school that my class had 36 kids. I was number four in my class. I didn't even make 10%. So that's kind of a running joke. Like, I was number four, didn't even make top 10%.
That's fantastic.
But I got recruited to play football and wrestle at the local college, Wisconsin lacrosse. Um,
Wow.
Went to college, hated it from day one. I'm like, this sucks. This is stupid. Because they told
Right.
you, you got to go to college. You want to be successful. You got to go to college. You got to go to college.
That's
So
right.
I did. Um, and anyways, I really I got involved in multi-level marketing with a company, and that it was honestly I was tired and broke for 10 years doing that. It's a tough gig. Two big benefits out of that. I met my wife, and I got my mind. Oh, and I got my salvation. I became a Christian at one of their events. And I'll say a
Nice.
third benefit was the first business book I ever read was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I
And
think that's probably a lot of us. I mean,
oh, and the
yeah,
silly thing is, I didn't catch the real estate part of it because in this MLM, they were so focused on getting you to just buy and sell their products, and that's all you should focus on. But
yeah,
it started a set shift to think about things differently, to look at the world differently, look at finances differently, and it got me to like reading like hundreds of books and listening to all these audios and everything and
that's
CDs.
great.
So it really opened my mind to that. I lost my ass in that business for 10 years.
Yeah.
Pretty much like working a second job on top of my jobs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like I would literally get home in the morning at like 4 or 5 a.m., sleep for an hour, and go to work. Like all to lose money. It sucked. So
Wow.
I,
Talk about a hustler.
yeah, it's crazy. Like I think back, what about if I found real estate when I was 18 instead of that? Like, what would I? But you can't do that because I feel like from age 18 to 29, this foundation, this solid block foundation was laid, like rock steady, can't like indestructible foundation was laid and prepared me for once I got
Right.
real estate finally. Um,
Right. Right.
but I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. So I got met my wife. I was friends with her, Dana, for 5 years in this business. We met in college. I finally pursued her. It took me a while,
Good
and
job. Better
yeah,
late than never.
thank you. First date, I told her we're getting married.
I
Dated
love
for
it.
yeah, and she's all about it. So we dated for a
Oh,
year. I got engaged, married 3 months later. Um, and this is where our story takes a turn. Is that a lot of people, everyone listening to this podcast, not just financially, but even like in your personal life, you are off to a way better start than we were. It's not even close.
I would agree.
When so my biggest regret in life when people ask me what do you regret? I wish the first time, I'm gonna get deep here, the first time I had the opportunity to look at pornography when I was in high school, I wish I'd have shut the computer off. That took a stronghold in my life from age 14 on. I told my wife about the struggle before we got married, act like I already defeated it, case. And it's crazy how one thing, like you look at porn, all of a sudden I started to see these ads for escorts. What's that? Um, so I click on the ad, close out of it. A couple of weeks later, click on the ad, call the number. Someone answers, hang up. Click the ad, call the number, drive by the location, go back home. And then one time, I was not courageous enough, stupid enough to actually go to the location, go to the hotel room, walk in the hotel, and put money on the table the escorts walked out of the room, and it was an undercover police thing.
Oh my gosh.
And I had about six cops and detectives bum rush the room, under arrest, and I started just bawling like a little boy.
As you would.
Yeah, because I was like, it was a year into our marriage, and I thought two things. What have I just done to my family name? Because we're known in this area. And God, give my wife the strength to get through what she's going to have to get through.
That's right.
And I had to go home and tell her, like, I got called my uncle. I was too embarrassed to call my dad to bail him out of jail. I had to go home, tell my wife what happened, and that's a Dana I never want to see ever again. And I told her, like, hey, I don't blame you for walking out the door and leaving me. I don't deserve you. And this was a defining moment in life. She looked at me and she's like, I'm not leaving. We're getting through this. And I was
Oh
just like,
my gosh.
gosh,
Wow.
how do I deserve this woman? Um,
Spencer, I want to pause you for a second. I just want to really recognize that you're even bringing this out because so many young men, and I don't know how many young men might see this, but so many young men have that struggle, and it really creates such a rough dynamic in their life, not just because it can be addictive, but also it changes their perspective sometimes, not everybody, about relationships and about women and how women are respected and how what they should expect from a relationship and all those pieces. And I think it's a really important topic. And I think we don't talk about it enough. And it definitely affects and changes so many lives. So I really appreciate that you're talking about this.
yeah, Tracy, I appreciate that. I was for years. I mean, the next day, my wife had to leave work because there was five of us that got caught. One of them was like a union boss or something, so he got a lot more heat than the rest of us.
Papers.
We were on the front page of the paper.
Oh,
We were on the top story for the news channels locally. And my wife had to leave work because a newspaper got put down on the desk like it always did at the company she worked at, and there was her husband's mugshot. So
wow.
a lot of embarrassment for her. She had everyone telling her to leave me, get out of there. And quite frankly, she had every right to do it.
Sure.
So, and I was you can ask her, Dana, I was an empty, hollow shell of a no confidence, pathetic excuse for a man. I was living in this burden of shame for what I did. And I just walked around carrying that burden. And I just was there for like 2, 3 years. I was not the Spencer she knew. And I was afraid to hand out my business card for whatever job I was doing at the time because I thought, what if people Google me? And people would Google me. I had people send me nastygrams on Facebook, get my number, be like, you're such a scumbag, this and this and that. And it just like, it sucked. And, but
Yeah,
sometimes you need to hit rock bottom and God gets your attention to go, hey, wake up, you doofus.
that's right.
You're, I need to stop you before, and I need to smack you on the head. You're gonna have to suffer a little bit
That's right.
before I take you to the promised land. So I had like state appointed counseling. It sucked. It was awful. She was so nasty.
Oh,
Uh,
mm,
and then I finally, I wish I could say my struggle ended. I still struggle with it on and off. And finally got help. We went to an event at our church. There's this guy that I was told I need to go meet with, Sam Gallegos. I just was again, but it's so crazy. My pride was like, I'm not going to go meet for therapy and counseling. No way.
of course, right. You're like not happening.
So stupid. So we're at Alpha. They offered up prayer in the room, and they said Sam was in the back, and Dane was like sitting next to me, like nudging me, like go talk to Sam, go talk to Sam. And it was so silly that I had to have my wife nudge me to go do it. But anyways, I went back, talked to Sam, gave him the clip notes version of our story, and then he prayed for me. And when he said, had his hand on me, he said, God, I just asked you to release the shame from Spencer. When he said that S word, I literally turned into a faucet. I was like violently convulsing, bawling my eyes out because I have been living with this shame over me. And that was like for 5, 10 minutes that lasted. And I walked out of there exhausted, but at such peace. Like I'm free of that. I
I
don't have to
love that.
anymore. And now it's like I love telling the story. I love it because it's funny. I still get people that will like, oh, I looked you up and this and that. Like, first of all, it's 12 years ago. Second of all, hey, you want to talk about it? Like,
Right.
let's talk about my story. So,
That's right.
um, but we were broke, dead broke. I don't think I ever had a net worth of more than $5,000 up until real estate. I tried all these failed jobs and businesses and opportunities. We were 60 grand in credit card debt. I got to the point where we had to go to subsidized housing on French Island, Wisconsin. We had two kids and one on the way. And when I found real estate, it was funny because I was doing door-to-door telecommunication sales for TV and internet.
Okay.
Door-to-door sales. I'd knock on your door in the middle of winter, 10 like 0 degrees out in Wisconsin, and if I sold you a TV and internet package, I'd make $200.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so I was like building a team around this and everything, but the turnover was terrible. So like, this sucks. I hate this.
As
So
we know, no one likes to door knock, right? I mean,
yeah, now I love the door knock for to do real estate
yeah,
deals. Way different than making $200 to sell a TV package. So
ex yeah, exactly.
yeah, so I was doing that. I just really hated it. I was just getting burnt out of it, and I was reading this article that someone interviewed Mark Cuban. They said, "Hey, if you lost it all, how would you become a millionaire again?" And he said, "I would work a high-paying sales job in the day, and I'd bartend nights and weekends." And I was like, "I can do that." And I thought, we really like real estate. We've always liked and been intrigued by watch HGTV, blah, blah, blah. And I know this guy, Josh Newman at a church, that he's successful as a realtor and owns some properties. So I went to talk to him. And that next day, I literally looked on Craigslist for a job. And there was a job bartending right down the road from us for
Oh
15
my
bucks
God.
an hour for weddings.
Meant to be.
And I was like, oh, thank you. So went applied, got that job right away, bartending weddings on nights and weekends and corporate events, and got started as a realtor in real estate. When I got started, I had to put everything on a credit card to get my license. We had no money, and I had to make a very hard phone call. I'm very like prideful, like I can provide for my family. I don't need the
That's
government's
right.
help. Unfortunately, we had no money, and I'm like, I got two, three kids I got to feed. My wife,
Yeah.
like, I had to make a tough call to Josh, like crying, like, am I a pathetic excuse of a man to get on food stamps until we make some money?
Yep.
And he was like, dude, as long as it's temporary, like everyone needs help sometimes.
That's right.
But it was just like I just sat there like you don't feel good as a man put your family on food stamps.
Right.
So but we got started in real estate, and I was literally working 100-hour work weeks, bartending and being a realtor because I did it full time. Then I did the bartending part time. A lot of agents do it backwards. And my wife knew she wasn't going to see me a lot in the first year. She was cool with it. She just always trusted me and had faith that I was going to find out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And that's when I was 29 years old finally. And my first year
Yeah.
as a realtor, I remember when Josh sent me an email, and he said, "Dude, you just with your last closing, you just made over 100 grand your first year as a real estate agent." And I
Wow.
was just like, "Oh!" I thought I was the richest man in the world.
That's right. You're like, forget about the food stamps. We're having steak tonight,
I
baby.
know. Got off that months later, like before that, like we don't need this anymore. Appreciate the help, Uncle Sam, but
Of
uh,
course.
yeah, and then like that year, like my first house we ever bought was on seller financing because I started to learn seller financing with this other group in Florida, which does not have near the vibe that Pace's group has.
Right, right. I can't, there's nothing like that, like sub two, that's for sure.
I know. Yeah, it was huge turnaround like that year, just like reading that article, whoever interviewed Mark Cuban, his answer, like that was a defining moment in our life. And I just finally found something that I could just go out and crush.
Yep.
And yeah,
It all snapped, came into
yes,
place. Wow.
yeah.
And how many years ago was that? What, when was your first year, roughly?
I got started as a realtor in 2017. Like I got my license, I was approved, ready to go. I think early February of that year,
Oh,
20,
right. You said about 7 years. Yeah.
7.5 years ago, pretty much. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So
yeah.
you went from literally on food stamps, dealing with all this previous trauma, having to work through and shed all that shame, to today. I mean, you're a super successful real estate investor. And I mean, how many, do you have three kids? You have more kiddos?
Four kids. Four
Mm,
kids.
I love
That's it.
that.
We're all done.
Hold on. What are you focusing on in real estate today? Have you gone through a transition? I think that's a great question that people talk about a lot. You come into this business ownership, you think you know what you want to do, and it morphs and changes a lot if you're lucky, right? Hopefully, you don't just get stuck doing the one thing in real estate that maybe you don't love. So I'm curious, how did that, are you in the same space? Did you things shift?
So that first year when I came back from that conference in Florida, I was like scouring Craigslist. When Craigslist was like useful, it's not so much
It's
anymore.
not so much anymore, right?
Yeah, so I was scouring it, and it was a creative financing conference. So I'm like, I already bought our first house this way. Like, I gotta find a rental property. So I went on there, and literally, like that Monday, I saw there is a triplex for sale at 12th and Ferry Street in La Crosse, and it's set in caps at the end. Seller prefers seller financing.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh, no way. So I called him, went there right away, got my brother. Because me and him, we owned all of our properties together. We were up over 300 doors, and then we just decided to do a cordial split. We get along well. It was a very friendly split, but we just do things differently, different goals, different visions.
Yeah, happens
Uh,
all the time.
but me and my wife were still buying properties outside of the stuff we own. So we were over 300, and then we would cut that in half. And me and my wife with what we bought and owned it. Now we're at about 250. So just to clear that up, because I was on another podcast before that where we all went from 0 to 300 plus stores. You know, people are like, you don't have 300, you're a liar. So
Oh
and
my gosh.
it's just
Right.
people are crazy.
Yeah, they are.
So, anyways, we locked that triplex down. We would negotiate a 3% interest rate, 15-year balloon, 30-year amortization. Only brought 8 grand to the table, like, and that was like, like, wow, okay. And I remember Josh Newman in that ride when I was that my mentor and broker in real estate.
Yep.
He told me about the refinance, and I was like, he was like, yeah, I own the 16 unit, and we got it reappraised and refinanced, and I pulled like 150 grand in cash out. We paid cash for our Sprinter van because they've got 6 kids. And he's like, yeah, just bank the rest. I actually went and bought some more. I'm like, whoa, what?
Whoa, whoa, right. You're like, back
Wait,
it
wait,
up.
wait. Pause. Hold on a second. What did you
Yeah.
just say? And that's tax free money? Like you don't have to pay taxes on any of that? I was like, what? So he's a big buying old guy, and I just always thought like I want to just buy real estate, and all of our commission dollars, like year two in real as a realtor, I made a $250,000. Year three, 400. Year four, I made over 700 grand
Wow.
as a real estate agent. But I was like working still 100-hour work weeks,
Oh,
and
I bet. Right.
finally got a licensed assistant. I think year 3 or 4, 1 and 2, and took a lot off my plate. But Tracy, all of our like money that we made, we dumped it into buying real estate. We just
Yeah.
bought real
I
estate.
love that you say that too. Yep. Yep.
And the first 3 years, people that are listening, we didn't just live off our cash flow. Like I have a good paying W-2 job, obviously, but we didn't take a paycheck for 3 years in our
Yeah.
rental. We
I
just
really love that you're
yes.
sorry
So
that you're saying that.
Tracy, I had a friend before I got in real estate. He's like, dude, he owned like 3 properties. He's like, never be a landlord. It's terrible. He's like, I'm broke. I have no money to fix a water heater. But because he didn't work, he was kind of late, and he just would live off his
Yeah.
small amount of cash flow he had.
Right, right. I think that's so important that you bring that up. I'm in that same mindset, and I make sure first that I have plenty of reserves in case the roof, the water heater, whatever. And then every penny literally goes back into real estate. And I don't have a W-2 right now. I'm telling you, we live very frugal. And when I say to people, they're like, how's your business? Oh, it's going amazing. And then, then if they hear me being frugal about something, they're like, well, I thought you were doing really well. Oh, I am, but I dump every penny. Like we live like how I lived when I was in high school and college. Like we have rice and beans again. We sure are, because mommy's buying another property tomorrow.
That's right. But that short term pain for that long term pleasure, like that
That's
delayed
right.
gratification. That's important. If you
Yeah.
have goals, like that's very important to do early on in your business. for sure.
Absolutely.
But you,
Yeah.
I envy you, Tracy, because being a realtor has been. I mean, I made a lot of money as a realtor,
Yeah.
but I have transitioned more to where I pretty much only do listings, and I'm actually working out of. I don't hardly work with any buyers at all,
Yeah.
but there's still
That's
time.
probably nice.
Yeah, it's super nice, but
Buyers are a pain.
they are, especially with all the new regulations with commission laws and all those. So,
Yeah. Oh, right. Of course.
I mean, if I had, okay, so what takes up more of my time? My rental properties or my realtor stuff? It's
It's
not
got to
even
be your
close.
realtor
My
stuff.
realtor stuff, it takes up so much
So
time.
much time.
He said, like, dude, he voice memoed, he's like, the problem with you is you have clients. It's like, I don't have clients. You have to report the clients.
Yeah.
So I'm phasing into a different point of being a real estate agent to where very few and select clients, even for listings, and of making that transition. Because I get so, if I had to go to $1 million listing or go look at $1 million property to buy, it's not even close. My excitement level right here is like through the roof. I'm just
100%.
so I envy
Absolutely.
you because you do what you like want to be doing every single day. There's sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to call this,
Oh,
but I gotta serve them. So
well, I appreciate that. I think it's you know, there's the pluses and minuses. And I would say like you, if you're watching this and you're new, do be mindful. I mean, I want everybody to have that freedom of time in finance and leave your W-2 if that's what you want to do. But be mindful of it. There are pieces that that I look back and I go, man, in hindsight, we talked about kind of, funding and financing. Sometimes it's helpful to have a W-2. I think of that balance of, gosh, if I had that money, could I still work as much as I do in real estate? And then that income would have, I could have reinvested. I mean, I'm not a, look back and be regretful kind of person. So I am grateful. I made the shift. I was an educator for a long time, and it wasn't floating my boat anymore. It wasn't bringing me joy. I was exhausted mentally. COVID really, for most educators, COVID really just did it, did us all in. And so I decided to leave. I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I took a leave for a month, and I thought I was just going to take a little break. But here I am. And thank you. It's great. But yeah, like any business owner, the first couple years, I'm just in I don't know, about 18 months in of having left my job. And I had a rental before that and done a flip, but not like I'm doing now. Now it's full time. That's all I do. So yeah, it's great, but it's hard. Super hard, which I love. And the money is not always consistent if you're trying to build your
sure,
portfolio. Yeah.
sure. Well, you're forced to get creative with probably using private money and
You better believe it.
I like even Pace and when I've talked to him and TC Collective, who we've hired as an ops team, like Rinda and Heather and Danielle, they're all bosses. They're awesome. Um,
Amazing.
we
Absolutely.
badly, but they like you've done all this and you've always used your own money. Like when you buy these, I'm like, well, yeah, I just have it. And they're like,
That's
stop it,
right.
stop it, stop it,
That's
stop
right.
it for money. And I'm like, I don't know. You can really buy real estate and not use your own money? They're like, yes. Like we have PML people that will loan to a guy like you. Stop using your own money. I'm like, okay.
That's
So
right.
that's a limiting belief that I've had. I've just always like it's just been so easy to be like, well, I have it in the bank, just use it.
Yep.
But I that's a I guarantee you are way better at getting more creative and structuring deals than I am for sure.
Right. I don't have a choice, right? Obviously. And, I tell people when you say to people, you can buy real estate with little no money down, they look at you like you're a total scammer. Like, yeah, right. I've heard that before, but I've done it. It's true. I just, what was in maybe the end of the first quarter, picked up a seller finance multifamily in Hawaii across the street from the beach. 750,000, 50,000 down. We put about 50,000 in for rehab. Um, it's a 30-year five. I should know the numbers, but I don't 5%, maybe somewhere around there. Um, yeah, it's a real deal. You can do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Use a private money lender for the 50 grand and the 50 grand to put into it. Didn't use your own
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, well, or private money partner. Yeah, you could bring in a private money partner. There's so many creative ways to navigate real estate. But I didn't know that. I came from the generation where if you could pay off your mortgage, oh my gosh, you are like solid, which is what I did. I bought my first rental property cash. I owned my home. I paid off my mortgage. So I was like, oh man, I'm like so cool.
A boss.
I'm totally, and then I realized you're a dope. You should have done that.
Yes.
Oh,
I paid
but
off my mortgage on our house. And then I realized this is stupid. I need to get a line of credit. So I got a line of credit up against
that's
it.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
So, yeah.
I love that. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, and because I'm sure you're at work.
The home office. No, my kid walks by and he held up some turkey and he's like, "Can I have some?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead."
Oh, right. Isn't that great about that is the one benefit of COVID is we've really shifted and so many more people can work from home, which
Yes.
I've got a teenager, she's in her senior year, and I was able to say, this year, I am going to not start work until she is gone. And I've had time in the morning to, I do mindfulness practice and exercise and whatnot. And but I want to hang out with her. She doesn't go to school till like 7:45. So I wake up with her and it's, let's get some tea, let's hang out, let's chit chat. That is some of the best time and best bonding I get to have with her. And I was never able to do that. And for me, being in this industry and owning my own business is not just about money. It's also about serving other people, serving my community, and taking my time back. And I can say, you know what, I'm not, I can't take that meeting at 9, sorry, but I can't,
Yeah.
or 7:30 because I'm hanging with my girl.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
I love
incredible.
that. Yeah,
You
she
have
comes in all the time. Yeah,
99% of the population does not have what you have. That's incredible.
it's true. We're so fortunate. I
Yes.
love your story. Again, I'm so appreciative that you share that. I think it can really change a lot of people's views, ideas, open their mind to things. You talked about shedding the shame. I think that's another thing so important. I think when people get stuck in business and they're just getting going, a lot of what we hold on to is shame. And I think we don't recognize that. I'm not a psychologist, okay? Let me just say that. But on a personal level, when I really dug into it, it was shame. There was shame from my childhood, from my past. That really was this wall that stopped me. And once you can let that go and just step into you, which is typically this newer version, or you're on your path to this newer version of yourself, it just opens things up. And I love that you did that. I love your story. Your wife is amazing. Absolutely amazing. The faith that she had in you, outstanding. So cool. So
Yeah.
it was
You'll
really
meet
fun.
at Squad Up. She'll be there, and I'll definitely introduce her to you.
Yes, I so look forward to that. Spencer,
No,
do you have social media? Oh, pardon me. What were you gonna say?
no, I just said I hit the jackpot in the lottery with her for sure, and she does a lot of. Quite frankly, she's starting. Both of us, our social media presence has been.
Love it.
Instagram's been awful. Like I got a lot of followers on Facebook, Instagram terrible. So TC Collective's working on us with that, as well as Dana because she does a lot of our flips that we've done. She's designed our Airbnbs, our short-term rentals. We have a property manager that takes care of our long-term rentals. So she does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, and it's like you need to tell people what you do, girl. So
Well, seriously, I love it. Will you share both of your Instagrams so that
yeah,
people, yeah,
yeah. So my Instagram is at snickelatti, Nickelatti, Nickelatti. And then
perfect. And how
Dana's
about Dana's?
is I think it's Nickelatti D. Let me double check. Very creative social media. Um, as you can see, Nickelatti D. I think
You're
that's
funny.
Yes, Nickelatti D. So same spelling, D at the end.
Okay, perfect. And then TC Collective, wonderful group of people. If you're interested in support in other areas, they're just wonderful people to reach out to, and people could connect with you and try to get their information that way, I imagine.
Absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. They're helping us. We got some big visions that we have that they're helping us get things organized and ramp up and scale to, and me stop doing things I shouldn't be doing. They've been great so far.
Yeah. That's so huge. I think just real quick before you go, if you're newer and you're just getting going, or you've been doing this for a while and you're kind of stuck, bringing somebody in, even just hiring somebody to come in and just give you almost an audit, right? Like what's happening? What are we doing wrong? Um, what should I stop doing? All those things
Yes.
really makes a huge difference. I'm such a fan of that.